Welcome, Leo, to your Jupiter in Cancer No More Blocks deep dive video. If we go back to when Jupiter entered Cancer on the 9th of June 2025, it was triumphed by many as being an amazing year ahead because of Jupiter being in his exaltation. I cautioned at the time that the event chart when Jupiter arrived was really tricky and that may not provide the uplift that people hoped. Fast forwards a year, loads of people have shared with me just how much of a struggle they've experienced with Jupiter in Cancer. I'm going to share with you, Leo, the exact moment that Jupiter arrived in Cancer from your perspective, but also why the rest of June offers a rich opportunity for you to reap the harvest of all the hard work you've been doing over the last year. By the end of the video, you'll have a clear picture of what's upcoming for your energy, work, relationships, and finances by the time that Jupiter enters your zodiac sign on the 30th. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundel. A very warm welcome. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, please do so now to help it to continue to thrive. But please also click or tap the bell notification symbol. So on the screen, Leo, is the exact moment that Jupiter arrived. And he was met by Mercury, the planet of communication. And that combination is excellent if we're wanting to buy or sell or promote anything to do with publishing. And in the 12th house, Jupiter influences in a traditional way the sign of Pisces, that 12th house energy. Wonderful if you've worked over the last year on your inner world, anything to do with healing, personal development, spiritual understanding. It's just that Saturn, the planet of limitation, was in the part of your chart when Jupiter arrived, very much to do with knowledge. Saturn, of course, is back in that area, but not in the square with Jupiter. So Jupiter's rulership of Sagittarius is very much about good luck, expansion, self-confidence, the belief that everything will work out fine. But Saturn in the sign of Aries is in its fall, so it can be a very blunt instrument. And it may be that you have felt rather inhibited over the last year. And maybe some issues have come up where you felt a little bit vulnerable, maybe about your perceived lack of knowledge. And also, Saturn and Neptune in that ninth house may have meant if you've been traveling or you're trying to push a contract over the line, it may have proved to be profoundly frustrating. Not everything will have gone to plan. And also, Mercury in the square with Saturn, there may have been times when the interactions in the wider world may have had quite the impact on your morale. Your spirits may have been a bit lower at times. And with Neptune in a square with Mercury, things may have felt a little disorientated. Perhaps someone's not even been very honest, particularly over a contractual matter, maybe around a relationship. And with Neptune in a square with Jupiter, that can amplify the sensitivities you may have experienced tenfold. We also had on that event chart Venus, the planet which is very much to do with money, in a lovely link with Jupiter and Mercury, but challenged by Pluto. So even if you've wanted to make progress, there may have been a relationship, perhaps a professional one, that hasn't gone exactly to plan. Also, we have Mars in your zodiac sign in a challenging right angle to Uranus. So even if you try to seize the moment, take a firmer grip on your life direction, things may have felt rather unpredictable for you. So if we fast forward now to the 9th of June 2026, we have the glorious conjunction between Jupiter and Venus. In traditional astrology, the two planets of fortune, the greater and lesser benefit, but they're still in that very delicate 12th house. So asking you to embrace that more spiritual inward journey rather than the outer one to do with a good fortune in a physical sense. And really incredibly, Mercury once more is challenged by Saturn. So there could still be a tender point within you about what you feel you don't know or how you feel people perceive you. But what you do have now, Leo, is Mars is right at the top of your chart and is in fact in a very strong link with Mercury. So there may be things you've been doing behind the scenes. You may have been evolving at pace. You may have been doing a lot of letting go of things that no longer serve your greater good. You may have been doing quite a lot of research, taking soundings, and that is all bubbling up in a really positive way. And whilst last year Pluto was in that challenging clash with Venus, which may have created some politics around relationships. Now he's in a tremendous angle with Uranus. And it's possible that a new relationship or new connections are refreshing your situation in a really hopeful way. You could still feel very tender, though, with the moon in a conjunction with Neptune. But if we go through to the 28th of June, just 2 days from when Jupiter returns to your sign, Mars still in that 10th house, where it's very assertive, now joined by Chiron on the 19th of June, is linking fabulously well with guess who? Yes, Mercury and Jupiter back in the conjunction that they started Jupiter's journey through Cancer, but this time supported by the energetic thrusted and very confident Mars in that 10th house. So there may be a balance between the things you're doing more visibly, the things you're doing more psychologically, but it's much more in tune with what you're working with. It is the case that Neptune is in a square with the Sun. So that sensitivity still may be part of the equation. But what we do have is the Moon and Venus in your zodiac sign, which is giving you a real shot of self-belief around your personal appearance and attractiveness, they're linking back to Saturn in a grand fire trine. So as the story comes to a close of Jupiter's journey through Cancer, that started off in a very challenging way, despite what was being said, you can get some real uplift just before Jupiter makes its way into your zodiac sign. So I think from now through to the end of June, there's every reason to feel very much more confident, but keep working on releasing any blockages or inhibitions. Don't judge yourself for what you don't know. Salute what you do and look back at your history. You probably haven't had the opportunities to do the things you wanted around knowledge because of circumstances. And even if you have been a lifetime learner and have lots of different qualifications or you've retrained in different sectors, it's possible over the last year you've still been very harsh on yourself with your perception of what you don't know. Release it all because you're moving into one of the most exciting periods, genuinely, that you've had for a very long time. I'm going to summarize those 4 areas of energy, work, relationships, and finances next, Leo. But just to say, I've reduced the price of my personal horoscope reports. I've slashed them because I realised cost of living has gone up. For a long time, it was buy two. For many years, get 30% off. Now it's buy one and get three. So 3 for the price of 1. The one you pay for is your life roadmap report, which helps us to understand the patterns that play out in our lives, get more familiar with them, and make better decisions future forwards with that knowledge. And free, your 12 months transit forecast and your Chaconic soul karmic analysis, which helps us to look at life, astrology, and most of all ourselves in a very different but profound way. Please see the link below for more. If you've yet to watch your June monthly forecast, that's on the screen. If you're yet to watch your Chiron into Taurus 50-year return video, on the screen. If you'd like to work with me one-to-one, it'd be an absolute pleasure. Please see my testimonials below. And if you've yet to take advantage of my free daily written horoscope, fire to your device each morning for your early day celestial pit stop, you can sign up for that below. So to summarize, I think your emotional and spiritual energy has been very delicate over the last year. And it's possible that because of that, at times, you may have felt very tender and very vulnerable. But if you look back over that last year, do acknowledge how much you've changed. There's such a lot of issues or history from your past that you will have a different relationship to now. And you're going to see a big uplift in your energy as the month of June goes on, not least with that wonderful new moon in Gemini on the 11th. And then, of course, Mars moving into Gemini on the 28th, later on the day. And then the arrival of Jupiter in your sign on the 30th, but still in a wonderful sextile to Mars. So you're going to absolutely power into the end of June and the very start of July. And all perhaps the low energy you've been experiencing over the last year will just melt away very quickly indeed. Professionally, I think because Mars, for the most part, apart from those last few days of June, is ending this process in a very dominant part of your situation. It started it in a very assertive part of your chart in terms of being in your sign. It was just because of the clash with Uranus. If you did try to really mark your territory, if you like, particularly in terms of your professional situation, it may have created quite a lot of friction. But you're ending this entire journey in a much better place with a connection between how you present yourself to the world at large, but also being much more in tune with who you are inside. And that's going to draw better opportunities to you. When it comes to your financial situation, Jupiter can be lucky. And the link with Mercury is very good for commerce, but that 12th house is quite shielded. And I think it doesn't mean to say that you haven't had some opportunities or good fortune over the last year at all. It may be that actually you've had some kind of payout or some uplift from past good deeds or savings or approaches that you've done, but it's all been a bit subtle and behind the scenes. But I think it could have been there for sure. What you get now is a much greater sense of potential certainty as the month draws to a close. So that's really lovely. Relationships, well, we go back to that original chart. Remember, Venus, the relator, was clashing with Pluto, the power broker. If you started this journey in a tense situation and also with Mars, the planet of sexual uh, action, if you like, squaring up with Uranus, if you did have some kind of change in your personal circumstances over the last year, it wouldn't be a surprise. It may be even in a long-standing relationship, there's been a shift on who holds not power, but if you've been perhaps a little bit more availing to the needs of a partner, I think as this period's coming to a close, you're coming into a period of being much more assertive. Doesn't mean to say the relationship is bad or it's going to end. It's just shifting like long-term relationships can. But if you're single, by the end of this month, as Mars moves into Gemini, combines with Uranus at the very end of the month, but then links to Jupiter in your sign on the 30th day, plus Uranus is linked back to Mars, you could really take a step into the unknown as the cosmic curtain comes down on June and do something incredibly bold and exhilarating. I can't guarantee it will pay off in terms of a life partner, but I think you could end up in a very, very passionate clinch with someone that would do your spirits and your morale the world of good either way. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Leo. Thank you so much for joining me. All the best and see you again soon.